When a system is pushed beyond its limit, the tension finds a weak point. Feeling overwhelmed means your mental infrastructure is fraying. We often treat intelligence like a static inventory, a collection of facts, high test scores, or the ability to win every argument you encounter. But high achievers with massive knowledge bases fail every day. They have the data, but they lack the operational system to process that data under the pressure of a real-world environment. Cognitive resource management serves as that operational layer. It is the specific logic your brain uses to handle external stressors without exhausting your internal capacity. We can map this on a simple quadrant. The horizontal axis represents your raw processing power, or IQ. The vertical axis represents emotional regulation, your ability to manage your mental state. Many professionals focus entirely on the horizontal axis. They increase their knowledge but ignore their regulation. This creates high friction. They react to every minor stressor until they land in this bottom right quadrant, where the risk of burnout is highest. Sustainable intelligence requires moving into this top right quadrant. Here, high processing power is stabilized by systemic regulation, allowing you to stay functional regardless of the environment. Reaching this state requires trading the immediate gratification of reacting for the high-friction discipline of pausing. We're going to evaluate 5 tools that make that trade possible. The first major drain on your mental energy is the ego-driven urge to correct others. In a disagreement, most people immediately shift their resources toward winning the debate. Defending a position or talking just to fill a silence requires constant cognitive effort. You're spending your bandwidth on defense rather than data collection. The strategic inquirer method replaces this defensive posturing with diagnostic questions. By asking things like, "Help me understand why you think that," you shift the processing load to the other person. This table breaks down the ROI of that shift. When we compare the ego-driven debater to the strategic inquirer, the efficiency gap is obvious. In the required input row, the cost is clear. You have to use your energy to suppress the urge to correct someone and sit comfortably in the silence they leave behind. The immediate trade-off is the loss of that dopamine hit you get from winning or being the smartest person in the room. However, the long-term outcome shows the gain. You diffuse the other person's defensiveness and extract more information from the conversation with less effort. Sacrificing the need to be right functions as a calculated strategy. It conserves your mental bandwidth and adds perceived weight to the response you eventually choose to give. We see a similar drain during sudden external triggers, like a rude comment from a colleague or a driver cutting you off. The default instinct is to snap back immediately. A single reactive comment often spirals. It creates secondary social conflicts and lingering anger that occupy your thoughts long after the event is over. The reaction buffer prevents this by enforcing a mandatory 3-second delay between a trigger and your response. Deploying this buffer requires you to give up the temporary, cathartic release of venting your frustration the moment you feel it. This flowchart shows the automatic failure state. The stimulus hits, follows a direct path to a snap response, and ends in escalation. A 3-second pause acts as a mechanical delay. It places a block on that reactive path, forcing the brain to find a different route. This delay allows your executive function to engage. Instead of escalating, you can evaluate if the situation is worth your energy and choose a response that de-escalates the friction. A forced pause functions as a mechanical circuit breaker. By staying calm while others react, you stop errors from compounding and maintain the ability to choose your next move. Beyond social triggers, bandwidth is also lost to lingering internal stressors, minor setbacks, rejections, or worrying about things like the weather. Treating a single failure as a personal flaw consumes massive cognitive capacity. You end up stuck in a loop of self-criticism rather than problem-solving. Intelligent people, however, use a specific zoom-out tactic. They look at a failure like a camera lens pulling back, identifying objective patterns, like a lack of sleep or a flawed study strategy, rather than panicking. They then categorize the problem by ruthlessly separating what they can influence from what they cannot. We can visualize this as 2 zones. Your zone of control is the inner circle, where you have actual leverage. The zone of concern is the massive space outside it. The outer ring is filled with unchangeable variables: the weather, the national economy, past rejections, and the moods of other people. Stressing over these provides zero return. High leverage actions live in the inner circle.
This is where you focus on your preparation, your specific strategies, and your personal effort for the next attempt. This shift requires the honesty to admit what you cannot change. It means you stop using worry as an ineffective substitute for taking action. Dropping the illusion of control over the external world reclaims a huge amount of bandwidth. You redirect abstract panic into a modular, actionable plan. These habits are not fixed traits, they are cognitive tools. Like any tool, they feel heavy and require conscious effort to use when you first pick them up. Trying to install all 5 of these habits simultaneously will fail. The sheer cognitive load of monitoring every response at once will likely lead to more stress, not less. To see results, you must identify your primary friction point and choose the single habit that patches your largest cognitive leak. This deployment strategy matrix shows which tool fits your specific personality bottleneck. For the overwhelmed optimizer, someone burning out from trying to manage systemic stress, focus exclusively on habit 3. Spend your week strictly defining your zone of control. For the analytical communicator who faces social friction in leadership, prioritize the strategic inquiry and silence habits. Practice pausing and asking questions. For the reactive perfectionist who is easily derailed by small setbacks, use the zoom out reframing and the 3-second reaction buffer. Select just one habit. Identify the specific leak that costs you the most energy and commit to strictly testing that specific tool for 7 days to gain measurable control over your mental bandwidth.